Welcome to a bonus episode of the Dino Watch podcast, a show helping you to separate the facts from the fiction as we look at incident reports from the world and break down where dinosaurs have been sighted in the wild. It is very much a Jurassic World now, as the advent of the recent Dino Tracker showcases. Whilst we question the motives of the US Fish and Wildlife Service, the Department of Prehistoric Wildlife and others, and trust me, we will continue to dive deep into what they are really up to, it doesn't change the fact that these sightings are happening. From an Ankylosaurus in India to pteranodons in Montana, it is safe to say that encounters are unfolding across the globe. In this episode, we wanted to take the time to hear from some of the people who have had those experiences, as we dive into a bonus episode where we hear some of your encounters and also your opinions on the dinosaurs themselves. We filtered our voicemails and have got some of the best stories from them. Up first, we have a voicemail from Alice, who wanted to share thoughts on the encounters we are having with dinosaurs in the wild. Let's listen in and see what Alice thinks.
Hi, so I heard you were taking call-ins about this whole dinosaur situation, and I just wanted to say that I think the whole thing is ridiculous. I've heard people calling in saying, "Oh, it's great, they're fantastic being here. I love having a stegosaurus in my back garden." Well, I don't, okay? They should have stayed on that island. They were safe there, we were safe here, and stegosaurus aren't even that friendly. Have you seen the spikes? I'm not being funny. I have a dog and I worry about him every day. My cat is now an indoor cat because of these things running around. And I don't even believe that they just found a way off the island. I don't believe that they're just here because something went wrong. No, I think that they were bored of these theme parks. They were bored of these secluded islands for these animals to live on, and decided instead, I know what will mess things up. Let's have them out with people. Let's do a big social experiment and see what happens. And we've messed up our own ecosystem, so let's bring one back and try that instead. And I don't understand why everyone is so okay with this. These animals should have stayed on the island. It's not like something that you can't just decide, oh, well, I like these big lizard things and I want them in my home. I want them in my neighborhood. So I'm just going to let them be here. They don't belong here. Okay. I don't wish them any harm, but I am a bit sick of having to hear sirens all the time telling me that I can't go outside right now because something might eat me. These things should have stayed where they were, and I'd never go out of my way to hurt one. I really wouldn't, and they are pretty to look at, but I would have preferred to have bought a ticket to go and look instead of having to, open my curtains. So I'll probably get hate for this, and your other listeners will probably hate me, but whatever, this is how I feel. I hope everyone's staying safe out there because, let's face it, it's terrifying.
Interesting thoughts from Alice. Whilst I'm not fully convinced the dinosaurs in the wild are some kind of social experiment, there certainly is a lot more going on than people are being transparent about. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us, Alice. We really appreciate it. Next, we're going to dive into a voicemail from Benny, so here we go.
Is this work? Hi. So I do have a story. This is from a couple days ago. I think Monday. It was Monday. I woke up pretty late, had the day off. It's 11 in the day. Just grabbing breakfast, was in the kitchen. Clear view outside, nothing there. I turned my back for like 20 seconds. And then I look back. I'm seeing this big silhouette in the playground. I go up to the window because obviously I wanted to see what it is. Since this is on this little podcast, I think you could probably figure out what it was. I mean, it's not like it was a wolf or anything. It was a freaking dinosaur, dude. It was bright red with black striping. I think it had something on its nose. I think it was a crest or a horn. After it was over, I called those dino protector dudes, and they said it was a Cerratosaurus? Cerratosaurus? Something like that. So it literally just walked up to the playground and it was messing around with the equipment. I think there was one point where it started tugging on the swings, knocking them around. I think it like stepped on the teeter-totter and crushed it. There was one point where I thought it looked like directly at me, but I don't think it saw me, because after it looked that way, it just went back to its usual thing. But then like the school bell went off. This playground was like right near the school, so I assume it was like 11, so I assume it was like lunchish time for that school. It went into full like panic mode. They said it was a carnivore, but it went into full panic mode once that bell went. Then it ran back towards the forest. I don't know if that's where it came from, but that's where it went. Then it like smashed into one of the cars on its way out, which signaled the car alarm. And then it just went into full rage mode on the car for a brief moment, because I guess it looked scared. It looked terrified for such a ferocious looking animal. Then it tried to like stand its ground. It did like a giant like bellow, like a roar to like scare the car. Like it was like like that. Sorry, no, okay, that sounded really weird. Anyway, after all that was done, it ran towards the forest, and haven't seen it since. The dino protectors showed up about an hour later. Said they were gonna, take care of the situation, catch the animal, bring it to their whatever they were doing, like a sanctuary or something. Yet haven't heard anything since then, and like I said, it's been a couple days. I thought like, oh, they it wasn't any of my business, so they just like took it in. Then yesterday, it was later in the night. It was like sunset time, right? I heard the same like roar that the Cerratosaurus made, but it was like really far away. Like it wasn't near, but it was close enough for me to hear it. So that thing is still out there. I don't know if they're still taking care of it. But unfortunately, that's where my side of this story ends. So I should probably go now. You probably got other people. I mean, there's more than just that thing out there. So thank you for taking the time to listen and to have me on. Thank you. The on switch is right here. Bye.
Benny's description of an encounter with a Cerratosaurus is interesting. Whilst they weren't the most popular attraction at the former Jurassic World, we know that these animals did inhabit Isla Nublar, and whilst not the most hostile, they are still carnivores in line with other animals like the Allosaurus. This goes to show that no one, even the Department of Prehistoric Wildlife, truly understands just how much is out in the wild. We're now moving on to an encounter from Sydney, showing that these animals are spreading across the globe. Here's John's story.
Yeah, g'day mate, John here from Sydney. We've had a little problem with some of them, what are they called? What are they called? The swimming ones. Yeah, the marine reptiles. Down the coast a bit, they've been taking surfers and whatnot. And out bush, well, the pterosaurs, yeah. They're attacking farm workers, right? They all migrated down here from Costa Rica. Anyway, National Parks and Wildlife needs to put up some damn signs. Tell people about the dangers. Get on the radio and tell people what to do if you spot one of these things. Politicians need to get their acts together and do something. Organise a cull or whatever. At least give some permits to some guys to get out there and shoot the damn things. Thank God we haven't got any of those land dinos, the carnivores. They're the ones you really got to watch out for. Who cares if some surfer gets taken anyway? Listen, I'll tell you... Hang on a minute, mate. My dog's barking at something. Oi, get up here! Dull, there's something in the yard. What is it? Mate, I gotta go.
John's description of encounters with animals causing chaos shows that there is a lot more going on across the globe right now than we realise, and various authorities have a lot to do to stop this from escalating. From tackling black market auctions to preventing dino trafficking, there is a lot we still have to do to preserve these animals. I do hope John is okay after the end of that recording, and we will double check with him just to make sure that he's okay after this show. We will end with a longer story from Tool, someone who used to make content on prehistoric history before the dinosaurs began to walk amongst us once more. Here's Tool's story.
Hey, what's up? My name is Tall, and I live down here in South Florida in the United States of America. I actually run an internet show all about dinosaurs called the Dinosaur Channel, where for the last few years I've just been making fun, informative videos for people about dinosaurs and all things prehistoric, even though I guess you couldn't really use that word anymore because that's not true. But we'll get into that. I really appreciate you having me on and letting me share my story. So I was actually traveling across the Everglades National Park, which is it's pretty much the biggest protected area here in Florida, and the biggest wetland park that we have in the United States, one of the biggest in the world. It's basically like a giant swamp where we have alligators and tons of endemic birds, and I've been frequenting this place my entire life since I was born and raised here, and I know a lot of the wildlife that exists here. So I was going down to actually meet some friends there who didn't end up showing up, and I just drove my Jeep down into the Everglades. I was taking some back road, and I was basically flying my drone trying to find some alligators in the swamp, unprepared for what I was going to see this day. I had been hearing rumors of sightings, and I've been hearing some, reported things that were going on, but I was, I'm also well connected and follow the Department of Fish and Wildlife in my state, and didn't hear about any reportings of anything similar to what I was going to see this day. So flying my drone, I actually found some really cool alligators. I saw them on the drone, ran out of battery, brought it back to my car, and then I was just chilling. I was just looking over. I stood under a tree stump because with the Florida heat, it's so hot. And that's when I heard it for the first time. I actually heard them before I saw them. The only way that I could explain it, it kind of sounded like they were vocalizing, like communicating with each other. It really sounded like they were having a conversation. And, I'm really in love with my state. I know all about the wildlife that exists here. I know the bird sounds. I know what animals are producing what sounds down here. I had never heard any sounds like this in Florida before, especially not down here. So I had a feeling like I was about to see something very special. It sounded sort of like a chirp, like high-pitched chirps and gargles with each other, and they were sort of like back and forth, back and forth. And then I heard a bit of stumping, a bit of splashing in the water because this is a mostly wetland area. And then I saw them. It first started, I saw their heads over the tall grass. They were sort of very goofy looking, sort of like bobbing their heads back and forth like birds, and peering around at any little sound. If there was a plane flying overhead, it would freak them out. If they heard those little Everglades boat tours passing in the distance, they would definitely like sort of move around and get a little scared. And it was really cool, like seeing them from a distance. I must have been maybe, I don't know, I would say like maybe 50 to 75 feet away from them. And I was trying to peer a little bit closer. I didn't want to freak them out. I also didn't know what the danger level was with these animals at the time because I couldn't confirm what species they were from the distance that I was at. I immediately grabbed my phone to try to take a picture just to find out that my phone was overheating, which was so convenient at the time. It's fantastic. Great time for my phone to overheat. So I'd put my phone back in my pocket to try to cool it down. I tripped over, fell on the ground, and of course freaked them all out because they heard it. I guess they have very, very good hearing. I saw what I got to see from laying down on the ground was their heads flocking together like a flock of birds. So cool. Must have been 20 to 30 of them together, running in a uniform direction, sort of zigzagging through the tall grass. One of them broke off, and I actually got to see them towards my left peripheral vision. I got to see a full body of one of them. Really beautiful colors. It was just like this tan with some striping. It looked like nothing like I'd ever seen before. I really couldn't believe what I was seeing, and just as quick as they were there, they were gone. I could hear them in the distance, of course, because this area is so open without a lot of there's not a lot of human structures there and not a lot of noises in general. I could definitely hear them from a distance, but there was no way for me to realistically traverse into where they were. The Everglades National Park is made out of some savanna-like prairie grasses and then a lot of wetland and sort of swampy areas. So for me to traverse into like alligator-infested waters, probably not the smartest thing in the world. I did hear of the next morning, one of them got hit by a car and was actually identified to be a Gallimimus, which was really cool because this is a dinosaur that I actually covered on my channel before and I talked about. And I felt kind of stupid for not being able to identify it from a distance. But granted, I was quite a bit of a distance away, and I didn't have any handbook or any of the internet on my side at the moment to identify what this was, what I was looking at. From all I know, I must have been the first reported sighting in the state of Florida, even though I did hear of some in the north of the state, but I don't know if they were rumors or legitimate. Definitely in South Florida, I must have been the first person to see them down here. And I have heard that they've migrated thus far to other parts of Florida since I've seen them. I feel lucky. I feel grateful to have had the experience I had with them, because it hasn't been bad like some of the stuff I have been seeing coming from the West Coast. I know there's been large predators and big carnivores that have been attacking, and people have lost their lives, and there's been damage to property and stuff. I feel lucky that I've had to have such a blissful encounter. I definitely understand and can put myself in other people's shoes and see how this might be controversial, and a lot of people might not be appreciating living alongside these creatures, but for me, I'm excited for the prospects of the future of having them in our world. So I'm definitely gearing up to go out west. One sighting was not enough for me. So I'm excited to see what else I can find out there, and appreciate you letting me share my story. Just be careful out there. Keep safe, and if you see them, try to grab some nice pictures, and don't have your phone overheat like I did. All right, thanks for having me so much, and I'll see you guys on the internet on the Dinosaur Channel. Goodbye.
Tool's story shows how these animals are becoming a part of everyday life for so many of us. Although harmless enough in themselves, Gallimimus can still cause huge disruption to everyday life. We know that the US Fish and Wildlife Service has a heavy presence at the Everglades National Park already, so it is likely that this herd may have been moved on. But we are interested to see how many other animals will pop up in national parks around the country. Thanks for sharing this story with us, Tool. As this episode shows, there are encounters taking place all across the globe, from Sydney to Florida and everywhere in between. Whilst the Dino Tracker app continues to help us keep track of these animals, there are still new ones being discovered every day, and there's a whole slew of creatures which haven't even been catalogued. We truly are living in a Jurassic age, where the dinosaurs threaten to once again have dominion over man if we do not choose our next steps very carefully. If you enjoy the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen. Together, we can learn how to survive with dinosaurs in the wild.